Hey guys, what's going on? It's your man Boris, and welcome to another episode of the TBScouts podcast. Today, at the time of this podcast, is Thursday, February 3rd, and in this episode, I'm going to talk about the stats from one of the games I saw this week, which was Bernie Champion versus Seguin, and just talk a little bit about that game, some of the players, and then talk about a schedule change for an upcoming game, and then also talk a little bit about the realignments, the Uil realignments that went out earlier to see what some of the districts are going to look like for next season. So pretty interesting. But first, let's go back to the game that I saw on Tuesday, February 1st. That was Bernie Champion versus Seguin. That was an away game for Champion. So went out to Seguin. They have a nice facility, first off. So shout out to Seguin High School for their amazing facilities. Very well kept and just a nice place to see a game. Champion came out on top in that matchup. Final score was 60-55. Bernie Champion got the dub on that, but that was a very good game. Good effort by Seguin. They put up a good fight, and we'll go over some of the points table breakdown as well. But looking at some of the top scores for Champion, coming in at first place for this game is Charlie. Charlie came in with 18 points. Next is Braxton Burdick with 16 points. And then tied for third with 11 points each is Jesse Pert and Owen Tate. Just looking at some of the breakdown, I would say, this was an interesting game to watch, and a couple of players kind of stepped up with Charlie, leading and scoring this game. So shout out to that. Taking a look at Charlie's stats, he scored 18 points for Champion, and overall he was 6 for 13 from the field. Looks like he had a good mix of 2-point field goals and 3-point field goals. On 2-point field goals, he was 2 for 4, so shooting right at 50%. And then on his 3-point field goals, he was 4 for 9. So nice job scoring from all over the place. Going down his stat line, also looks like Charlie had 8 rebounds and 3 assists and 1 steal and 1 block. So, nice little stat line there for Charlie this game. Next was Braxton. He came in with 16 points. Looks like overall Braxton was 3 for 11 from the field. And looks like he took a lot of free throws. Looks like he was 8 for 9 on free throws. So, good job on making majority of those. And looks like he was playing tough and getting a lot of fouls. So, picked up 8 points off of free throws. Good job. That's why the free throws matter. And Braxton also came in with 8 rebounds and 5 assists and 2 steals. So good performance, good solid performance. And then coming in third place, tied for third, we got Jesse Pert coming in with 11 points. And Owen Tate coming in with 11 points. So, you had about 4 players or so that contributed double digits to Champion's victory. So good job to the whole team on that. All right, taking a look at Seguin. Seguin, I would say that overall Seguin has a pretty good looking team. There's a couple of players that stood out. I'd probably say, probably the player that stood out the most on that team was player number 1, John Jackson. He was the leading scorer for Seguin. He had 18 points. And he was just a, good player to watch. Looked like he was confident out there on the court. He's playing on both sides of the ball. So shout out to John Jackson. Looking at his stats, again, he had 18 points. He was 7 for 15 overall from the field, and he also had a mix of 2-point field goals and 3-pointers as well. John was 4 for 7 on his 2-point field goals and 3 for 8, it looks like, on three-pointers. Looks like John also had a total of 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. And again, 18 points. So, good job, John. Keep up the good work for Seguin. Some of the other leading scorers, it looks like the next leading scorer for Seguin with 12 points was number 25, Kevon Williams. Good job. And coming in third place with 11 points is number 5. Looks like Jakari Matthews. So, again, Champion versus Seguin was a fun game to watch. It was, action the whole time. Didn't seem like either side was trying to slow down the ball or slow down the pace of play. Looking at the points table, so final score was 60-55, and just looking at how each team did against each other per quarter. In the first quarter, Champion outscored Seguin 17-16. In the second quarter, both teams scored 11 points. In the third quarter, looks like that's where Champion scored 18 points to Seguin's 14 points. So they got a little bit of a lead there. And then in the fourth quarter, both teams scored 14 points. So this was a pretty even matchup. I mean, if you look at the second quarter and the fourth quarter, both teams scored the same amount of points each. Both teams scored 11 points in the second quarter. Both teams scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. So pretty much back and forth. Where Champion got the lead was in the first quarter, where they just picked up a 1-point advantage, and then in the third quarter, where they got a 4-point advantage, bringing their overall lead to a 5-point advantage. And it looks like Seguin, wasn't able to ever come back and gain the lead. So, but great game and a great win for Champion there on the road. As far as moving on to Champion and their next game, there's a schedule update, and that kind of leads into the second part of the show today, and that is they were originally planned to play tomorrow on Friday, but Champion's game versus Tybee has been rescheduled to Saturday, February 5th at 1 p.m. at Champion. Again, Champion's game was rescheduled to was rescheduled to Saturday at 1 o'clock over at Champion. The last thing that I wanted to just talk about today is the Uil Realignments. So for the next couple of years or couple seasons, it looks like there's going to be some new schools that were realigned in the districts and everything. And I was looking at how did that affect Bernie Champion. And after looking at the list, and you can go to, if you just look up the UIL realignment, you can find the UIL website and go to basketball and see the different district realignments and everything. But now in 5A, District 26, you got some interesting schools. You have Bernie Champion in the district. You got Kamal Canyon, Kamal Piper, Kamal Smithson Valley, Kerrville Tybee, Veterans Memorial, Wagner, and Seguin. So just looking at that, I mean, some pretty good teams, man. You got Champion in there. You got Smithson Valley. You got Tybee. You got Veterans Memorial. You got Wagner. And Seguin has a couple of ballers, too. So, in District 26 5A, there's going to be some pretty good competition. And I know right now a lot of the we have some pretty big name seniors right now that are 2022s. They're going to be graduating this year, so we're not going to be able to see. Well, we'll just wait to see what the matchups look like, because every year, great players come out of the woodwork. So we'll see what the districts and gameplay looks like for next season. It's going to be interesting. Again, if you want to see more details, just visit the UIL website and look up the basketball. But that's going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for all the support. And stay tuned for the next show. Y'all take care.